Guys, I'm going to apologize. This is going to be a long video. This is why I wanted to do it in class. I apologize. I think I fixed the issue. So I think on Monday we'll be fine. When we're solving equations that have absolute values, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to split it into two equations. We have a positive equation and a negative equation. Our positive equation is just like it looks like without the absolute values. So we're going to have x squared minus 3x is equal to negative 4x plus 6. And then we have our negative equation, which is going to be negative x squared minus 3x is equal to 4x plus 3. The only thing that gets multiplied by the negative, it's whatever is inside your absolute value. That's it. If there's something right here, that does not get changed with the negative. Only the stuff that's inside your absolute value. So we're going to quickly solve this equation really quick. So we're going to have x squared plus x minus 6. I just moved everything and combined like terms. I'm going to factor this out. And I'm going to get x minus 2, x plus 3. Then my first answer is going to be x equals 2 and x equals negative 3. These are two possible answers from the left side equation. I'm going to work on my right equation. And I forgot to put a little negative there, so let me put that back. So now we're going to have, distribute that, we're going to get negative x squared plus 3x is equal to negative 4x plus 6. When I'm solving these, I usually like to work with positive x squared values. So I'm going to move these two terms to the right side. So I'm going to have 0 is equal to x squared. When I move this 3 to the other side, it's going to become negative 3. So now I'm going to have negative 7x plus 6. I'm going to factor that out, and I'm going to have my two binomials, and I'm going to have x minus 6, x minus 1. So my two other answers are x is equal to 6 and x is equal to positive 1. So these are all possibilities that I need to use, that I could use, and now I have to check for extraneous solutions. Extraneous solutions are solutions that we got, but when you substitute back into your original equation, you get a false statement. So, for example, if I check my solutions for x equals 2 and I plug it in, I'm going to have, and I get, let's see, 2 squared minus 3 times 2 is equal to negative 4 times 2 plus 6. I'm going to have 4, that'll be 6, negative 8 plus 6. You're going to get the absolute value of negative 2 is equal to negative 2. Absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. And right here, this is a false statement, so it's not equal. So that means this is an extraneous solution. You do the same thing for the other one. You check it out, and you x equals negative 3. And if you work it all out, you're going to get that absolute value of 18 is equal to 18. 18 is equal to 18. I'm going to skip some steps just because I don't want this video to be long. As you can tell, this could take a long time, especially depending on how many solutions you have. So I'm going to do the same thing for x equals 6. I'm going to check it, x equals 6. I'm going to plug it into my original equation, not the one that I split up, my original equation. So I'm going to have the absolute value of 6 squared minus 3 times 6. Absolute value of that is equal to negative 4 times 6 plus 6. I'm going to have 36 minus 18 is equal to negative 24 plus 6. This becomes absolute value of 18 is equal to negative 18. You get 18 is equal to negative 18. That's not a true statement, so this again is an extraneous solution. Okay, if I check my x equals 1, I plug it in my equation. I'm going to skip a couple steps. You're going to get 1 minus 3 is equal to negative 4 plus 6. You get the absolute value of negative 2 is equal to 2. 2 is equal to 2. That's correct. So that is an actual answer. That works. So my only two answers that work are x equals negative 3 and x equals 1, because x equals 6 and x equals 2 are extraneous solutions because they give us false statements. Okay, so for this problem, what we want to do is solve, and these are radicals. So what I suggest that we do is we move this to the other side so that way we could solve for this radical, simplify that side. So I'm going to have the square root of x is equal to, I'm going to move this whole thing to the other side, and I'm going to get 10 plus the square root of x minus 20. I want to get rid of this square root, so I'm going to square that, and whatever I do to the left side, I have to balance it on the right side. So now I'm going to get x is equal to, these two things cancel each other out, they undo each other. And for the people who forgot, this means two exact copies of this. So I'm going to multiply this together. So I'm going to have 10 plus the square root of x minus 20 times the 10 plus the square root of x minus 20. I'm going to have x is equal to 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times that is 10 times x minus 20, and then we have another one. That would be 20 times x minus 20. And then square root of x minus 20 times x, the square root of x minus 20. That just gives us positive x minus 20. All I'm doing, just so you remember, I am double distributing. I'm distributing everything and then combining. I just know how to do it in my head. Okay, you're going to combine your like terms. So we're going to have x is equal to, I'm going to combine these two terms right here, and that will give me 80. So now I have 80 plus 20 times the square root of x minus 20 plus the x. I'm going to subtract this x to the other side. That goes away. Now I have 0 is equal to 80 plus 20 square roots of x minus 20. That goes away. I'm going to move the 80 to the other side, and now I'm going to have 80 is equal to 20 times the square root of x minus 20. Divide both sides by 20. Those reduce, and 20 into 80, that's 4, is equal to the square root of x minus 20. To get rid of the square root right here, again, I'm going to square both sides just like we did at the beginning. So I'm going to square that. And if I square the right side, I have to square the left side. So now that gives me 16 is equal to x minus 20. Add the 20 to both sides. And now you have 36 is equal to x, and that is your answer. Since we only have one solution, there's no need to test if it's an extraneous solution. It's only for 2 or more. Okay, so we're going to solve this equation. If you notice, this is technically in disguise. This is still, you're squaring something and you're taking the cube root of something. So I'm going to rewrite it. So the first thing I want to do, honestly, is going to be to move the 25 to the other side. So I kind of just, so I could easily rewrite it later on and focus on that piece. So I'm going to have x minus 1. And I have 2/3 is equal to 25. I'm going to rewrite the 2/3 with a square root. For people who forgot, this 3 right here in the bottom, the denominator of the exponent, means it's a either square root, cube root, fourth root, whatever it is. Since it's a 3, it's going to be a cube root. So we have the cube root of x minus 1 squared is equal to 25. Okay, I want to get rid of the cube root. So that means the only way to undo it is to raise it to the power of 3, and whatever I do the left, I have to do the right. Now these will cancel out, and now I just have x minus 1 squared, and the 25 to the 3rd power is 15,625. And guys, I didn't know that. I have a calculator. Okay, the next thing I want to do is now I want to undo this squared. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides, And those are going to undo each other. Now I have x minus 1 is equal to plus or minus. Anytime you take the square root of both sides is a plus or minus. And the square root of 15,625 is 125. Now we're going to have to add our 1. So add a 1 to both sides. And I have x is equal to 1 plus or minus the 125. That means I have x's possibility is x equals to negative 124 is one answer, or I have x is equal to 126. Since I got two answers, I'm going to check for extraneous solutions. And remember, you're going to substitute it into your original equation. So I'm going to have negative 124. I'm going to check my answers. And my first answer that I'm going to check is x equals negative 124. So minus 1 to the 2/3 minus the 25 is equal to 0. So I'm going to simplify this side. And if I simplify it and it all works out, I should have 0 equals 0. And that means it's actually a solution of my radical. So I'm going to have negative 125. And then I'm going to rewrite that as the cube root squared minus 25 equals 0. So then I know that I'm going to have the cube root, and that squared should be 15,625 minus the 25 is equal to 0. The cube root of 15,625 is 25 minus the 25 that was there. 25 minus 25 is 0. That works out. This is actually a solution. Now I'm going to check my x equals 126. And I'm going to skip a couple steps because it's the same thing. So 126 minus 1 to 2/3 minus the 25 equals 0. That is going to be 125 to the 2/3. And since it's literally the same thing that we have there, it's going to work. So I'm going to have 0 is equal to 0. And that means this is also a solution. Both worked.